This is Bengals Nation with Coach Marvin Lewis, presented by Tri-Health.
Welcome to Bengals Nation. Bob Herzog alongside Jen Dalton, hanging out at Holy Grail Banks, as we always tend to do for Bengals Nation. But, Jen, it's a unique week. It's a little bit different. There's no game tomorrow.
No.
It's a Sunday, and the Bengals are not playing. So I'm wide open. I got nothing. I am wide open now.
You don't play fantasy or
Tomorrow
watch any other?
might as well not exist. We might as well just jump straight to Monday. I got nothing.
Let's just straight to the next Bengals game.
Yeah, okay.
All right. That would be a lot of fun. You know what else is going to be a lot of fun?
What's that?
Tonight's show.
Yes.
Because we still have one for you. We've got a great guest here this evening. Defensive coordinator Paul Guenther is going to be at the Eichler Golf Cars autograph table. We have a fabulous band for you tonight. The Infinity Project up on the CINCINNATI College stage. Oh, the Bud Light ball toss, Bob. It is back.
Thank goodness, Jen.
That's right. And you cannot miss Marvin's Must, brought to you by Northgate Mall.
But for right now, let's send it out to Brad and to Coach. And Brad, again, listen, let me break this down for you. On Sundays in the fall, I watch the Bengals. It's what I do. I have nothing to do. What am I going to? I could bowl. I could bowl. People bowl. We could bowl. You want to bowl? Let's bowl.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what you should do with your Sunday plans without a game. And I do know people still bowl, so that does work. We'll talk about what has worked so far this season for Marvin and the guys, and we will look ahead. A daunting schedule ahead. We'll talk about that as well. But in the next half hour, all sorts of fun stuff that you hadn't expected. First, we'll send it back to the Holy Grail and Mike.
Okay, thanks a lot, Brad. Tonight at the Eichler Golf Car Autograph Table, we're joined by Bengals defensive coordinator Paul Guenther. Coach is in his first season in this role, following in Mike Zimmer's large footsteps, and Coach is leaving some rather large imprints of his own. We'll talk with him about his first 8 games, first half season as defensive coordinator, and much, much more coming up later on in the show. In the meantime, let's send it back to you and the coach.
Mike, thanks very much. You and I have talked over and over about how nasty Thursday games are. You don't get a chance to do it, and they're making a ton of money, and people watch the Thursday games, so the Thursday games aren't going away. Is there anything positive to the Thursday game? I suppose if we look after a Thursday game, it's more like a bye week because you get some extra time. What's positive about it in this week that you find out?
Well, I think the positive of the Thursday game is you win the game, and then you have the semi-bye. And so it's a good recovery for players. Coaches have a chance to refocus on us and look at us a little bit. And so I think that's the key, positives coming out of a Thursday game. All
right, we'll talk much more about it as we get going. First, let's send it back to the Holy Grail and Jen.
Well, it's No Shave November, and that reminds us all about men's health. But Tri-Health wants to remind men of all ages that it's time to schedule that annual physical. Did you know that only 30% of guys get an annual physical? Come on, guys, we need to do better than that. Make sure you schedule that annual physical. And while you're there, talk to your doctor about appropriate screenings for your age. Also share your family history because that can help with appropriate care. So don't just use November as an opportunity not to shave, guys. Make sure you schedule that annual physical with a Tri-Health primary care doctor today. It's time to start living better with Tri-Health.
Coach, 3 division games down, 3 to go. Most positive aspect you would take out of what your guys have done so far to this point?
Well, I think the thing is we've continued just to play and not worry about who's playing and who's not playing and so forth. And I think that's the key element. So down the stretch, the last 7 football games, our goal is to be the best team in the National Football League for these next 7 weeks, and that'll keep us going. And if we do those things and accomplish those things, then we'll continue to play 1 week at a time. So we've done a great job of focusing 1 week at a time. We've got to do that these next 7 weeks.
Coordinators get the spotlight. They get hired and fired all the time. You lost both of yours coming into this year. These 2 coordinators have lost a lot of guys, so coordinators have to adjust. How have your coordinators adjusted to that?
Well, I think they've done well, and it's a tough deal, when you lose your better players and guys who you lose starters throughout, which we have, obviously, and but they can't flinch either. And, the players are going to feed off of their lead, and they have to be prepared. They have to be forward thinking, so we have the next guy prepared and have the contingency plans set up to move forward.
When we come back and you see us next, we'll be in the team room. Coach is going to break down the win over the Jaguars, what went well, maybe some of what he'd like to change. We'll do that in the team room, but first, let's send it back to the Holy Grail.
All right, thanks a lot, Brad. Great to be joined at the Eichler autograph table by Paul Guenther, Bengals defensive coordinator. 8 games into this thing after being elevated from the linebacker coach slot. How is this thing going for you? What's the most valuable thing you've learned halfway through your first season as a coordinator?
Probably never take anything for granted. You know, the first few ball games we had our lineup in there, and then, you know, from pretty much after the bye week, we've had a lot of guys in and out of the lineup, different players in and out. So, you know, you got to be prepared for all those type of things. So you're making sure everybody's, the backup players in particular are ready to play when their number's called, they're ready to go.
You know, in talking to all of your players in the locker room during the week, they are starting to take on your personality. They're starting to sound like you, ignore the noise. They quote one of your slogans. There's no greater compliment as a coach when the players start to do that. I know you like the talent of this group. They seem like a really good group as far as being coachable guys. Is that fair?
Yeah, I got a good group of guys here. They work hard in practice, very coachable guys. I'll ask you, they'll do exactly what you want them to do. And, yeah, you know, they've kind of we've talked about that a little bit in the meeting room, ignoring the noise of whether, hey, when you're playing good, everyone's going to pat you on the back. Ignore it. When you're playing not so good, they're gonna say other things. So don't, ignore it. Just keep doing what we do the best we can.
All right, we'll have more with the defensive coordinator, Paul Guenther, coming up later on in the show. Stick with us.
We got the big red machine and the Bengals.
That's the Infinity Project playing us out to break. Stay with us here on Bengals Nation. Still a lot to do. Brad and Marvin going to hang out at the telestrator in just a bit. Also, Paul Guenther going to take some fan questions.
Is it ever a little scary having to yell at players who are twice your size?
It's all coming up on Bengals Nation.
Welcome back to Bengals Nation, sponsored by the Holy Grail. Come on down to the Holy Grail, Cincinnati's home for all Bengals games with 30 HD TVs, surround sound, bucket specials, and great food. This is the place to be for all Bengals games, home and away. Your search is over. You've found the Holy Grail. Time now to send it over to Brad and Coach with the final verdict. They're at the Elk and Elk telestrator. Guys.
Hey, Jen, thanks. We're in the team room. Coach, let's go back.